Alright, so welcome back everybody. So for this video, I'm going to show you guys how to play Pacific Ocean. Now Pacific Ocean is a set collection game. You're trying to basically attract aquatic animals to your marine sanctuary. Everybody will start with a marine sanctuary card. If you're playing a solo variant, you'll also start with a marine sanctuary card. Now, even though you only start with one marine sanctuary card, each player is still basically getting a choice because they're double-sided, so you can choose which side you want to play with, okay? And there is some difference because these are all going to have different icons or multiple icons on them, 3 or 2 or one particular icon. So it's really not really sure. You're not really sure which strategy you're probably going to start with, but you're probably going to want to go for the one that's going to give you the most points. So you're going to try to find a card that's going to score you tons of points for blues if you were starting with this one, for instance. Okay, but when you play the solo variant, we're going to talk about how to play this game starting with the solo variant. When you play with the solo variant, and here's our Marine Sanctuary, it's the reds. That's what we're going to start with. We could start with this side, but I'm just going to pick this side. Now, when you play the solo variant, there's 6 of these types of scoring cards for the bot. The bot player. So when you play solo, you play against a bot player. Now, this bot player, you're going to be putting these types of cards, okay? They're going to be going above Thor here. And basically, Thor is going to be scoring points based on which icons and how many you have. So, for instance, right now, Thor would score just 2 points for that Mako Shark because of the blue icon, okay? So he's not scoring anything for red, just blue and green, but he's getting 2 points for each. So you kind of do want to limit the amount of these colors as much as you possibly can to keep him from getting too many points, obviously, okay? But this is still going to be contingent on the roll of the dice, okay? It's still contingent on the roll of the dice. And so let's explain how that's going to work. First of all, let's remove 2 cards from the game because you don't play with every single card there is. So, and we're not playing with expansion, so the expansion fish are not in here, okay? Oh, actually, this one is not the one we want to discard because we don't play with it. These 2 we want to discard from the game. This one is the jellyfish, which is never in a solo variant. So you'll always remove this before you even set up the game. This will never be in the game. And the reason why is because you cannot score points with the jellyfish off of a bot player. Because this icon here means that you can score points for the amount of cards your opponent has below here, obviously, okay? That's what that means. So for every card that's below your opponent's card, your opponent's Marine Sanctuary, okay, Marine Sanctuary, it's going to score you points. And since there will never be cards below Thor in a bot game, in a solo game, this card is useless. So that's why it's removed from the game in a solo game. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to start with 3 cards, okay? You're going to pick which ones you want to obviously play or keep. Right now, none of these really help me because most likely both of these will score my opponent. Well, he wouldn't get these for the points anyways, but most likely my opponent's going to have potentially more green and potentially more blue than me at the end of the game. Potentially. We don't want that to happen. But if they do, then I would get no points for these 2 cards because I have to have more icons of that particular kind to score 4 points at the end of the game. So this is only going to score you 4 points at most. So both of these cards don't really work for me as far as like points are. But for this equation, this puts 1 of each on here as well. So we want him to take 1 of these 2 here for sure because both of them have a red and will limit the amount of points he gets. So let's see here. We definitely want to try to match what we've got here. Let's see. Probably the blue one, the narwhal, is probably the one I want him to take if possible. But at the same time, I wouldn't mind him too much taking the sperm whale. So you know what we're going to do? We're going to put the sperm whale face down, and we're going to put the narwhal face up. Now, you have to always put one face down and one face up. If you're playing a two-player game, same thing. You put one card face down, one card face up, and same thing with the three-player game as well, okay? Now, here's what we try to do. We try to match up the icon with what we have here. So the narwhal has one of the blue icons on it, and you notice the blue icon is going to match up with this die with a 4 on it. That means that this is going to, if you roll a 4 or a higher, okay, and this is the card that's face up, if you roll a 4 or higher, then the bot player automatically takes the face up card, okay? And you'll notice it even says if you roll a 6, face up. So if you roll a 6, it's always going to be face up. And if you roll a 1, then the bot player is always going to take the face down card. So if this was the equation here, there's a 50% chance that you would roll a 4, 5, or a 6 here, right? And so that's about 50%. So either or, right? It could potentially be. But if you had multiple icons on this, so if this was the card that was face up, you'll notice it has a green and a blue, and this area here has a green and a blue. So if you rolled a 2 or higher, it would take the face up card every time. So the only way the player would take the face down card if the octopus was face up in this equation is if you rolled a 1, which is horrible. So obviously your chances of rolling a 1 is very, very slim, but still potentially, I suppose, possible. So you can kind of mitigate, obviously, what you potentially could roll, and hopefully the bot player will take the cards you don't want him to take, or will take the cards you want him to take, for instance, okay? But let's just roll the dice and see what happens. We got the narwhal here, we got a face up card, or face down card. Let's just roll the dice. And we rolled a 6. And that means that it will take the face up card. So Thor gets the face up card, and then you always put, when you're playing against a bot player, the bot player always gets the cards on top of the bot. So you're just going to add and add and add up here, okay? That's how that's going to work. That means that Thor already has 2 points. Now, as for me, I can either put the sperm whale like this, so that way I'm trying to score the most blues, which right now doesn't seem likely because I have 2 reds to start with anyway, or I can place the sperm whale below the red lionfish for the extra icons. So that way I can try to maybe find a card that's going to score me points for all of these reds. And you know what? That's what we're going to do. Okay, now I have just 1 card here. So then for the next round, I would draw 2 more cards, and now I have 3 cards here. Ooh, I really want this great white shark for the blue, obviously. But it's going to score me points for green and blue if I go the other route. This one could potentially give me a lot of points if I have blues and reds. That's not going to help me much either. So I think we're going to play with these 2 here. I really want the great white shark for sure. But definitely this could be bad either way. But if he takes the great white shark, then that's not good for me either. So let's see. What do I want to do? This is a tough decision. I guess we'll hold off on the octopus for now, and we'll do the blue whale. And if we do end up getting the blue whale, then I'm just going to do it for the icons, right? And then he gets nothing this turn, so no points if he takes this. So, but the thing is, if I wanted him to take this great white shark and I put it face up, the only way he would get this card if it was face up is if he rolled a 6. Now, with my luck, I always seem to roll 6. So, once again, that's a dilemma for me. But most likely, you're not going to roll 6 every single time. So, most likely, if this was face up, this great white shark was face up, Thor would almost always take the face down card. So, so then we will put the face down card as the great white shark, and the face up card will be the blue whale. And so now I've increased the chances that the bot player will take the blue whale now instead, because, see, it's a 3, because it matches the green icons there, the 2 green icons. So if I roll a 3, 4, 5, or 6, the bot player gets the blue whale. okay? And obviously, if I roll a 2 or a 1, then it'll take the face down one. So either way, I've just only increased the chances of it taking this card by 1 number. That's all I did. So not much of a difference there. Oh, and I rolled a 3. So you know what that means? The bot player is going to take this card here. Okay, well, it's not the end of the world because, after all, I was going to take the Great White Shark for the extra red icons. So, hey, it wasn't a horrible deal. Not completely horrible, okay? And then, obviously, we would draw 2 more cards. Let's see what we have here. Do we have any scoring opportunities for red? No, we do not, which is not good for me. Do we have any scoring opportunities for green? No. Okay, well, that's basically it, though. You would score points, obviously, based on what you have icon-wise and what scoring opportunities you have below your Marine Sanctuary. So, right now, I'm not scoring any points because I have nothing below my Marine Sanctuary. And, well, none of these really get me anything. But if I had, like, the octopus down here, below here, for instance, I would at least get 3 points right now because I have three icons here that make up this part here. So I'd get, 1, 2, 3 points for that octopus. So that's something at least. But yeah, you're going to try to obviously have more points than your bot opponent. But basically, that's how you would play. And you would obviously, you would keep playing until you ran out of cards to draw, right? When you couldn't draw any more cards, the game would be over. So you'd always have 1 card left over at the end of the game that you weren't able to put into your sanctuary, obviously. But that's basically how you would play the solo mode. So I've explained that. But how do you score points? Let's just kind of briefly go over. We talked about how the jellyfish would score points, obviously. So let's just briefly kind of just go over how you would score points and what do you need to score points, okay? So the narwhal here, if you have, and this is beneficial if you're playing a 2-player game or a 3-player game to know this anyways, because this is just how you score in general. So, because you score in general regardless of what mode you're playing, okay? If you have more green icons than your opponent, or any opponent really, you get 4 points with this card, okay? This one's going to score you 3 points for every pairing of red and blue icons you have, but you get -2 points for every green icon you have. This one's going to score you 1 point for every card that's above your Marine Sanctuary, basically, okay? 1 point. Simple. Obviously, that's a Marine Sanctuary card. This one's going to score you 4 points if you have more blue icons than your opponents or opponent, okay? This one's going to score you 2 points for every green and blue icon you have, okay? This one's going to score you a point for every green icon you have. This one's going to score you 2 points for every green and red icon pairing you have, the manta ray. The whale shark's going to score you 2 points for every red and blue icon pairing you have, so every set, every pairing. For every 3 of these icons you have, you get 3 points with the sea star. If you have more red icons than your opponents or opponent, you get 4 points with that one. If you have, for every red icon you have with the hammerhead shark, you get 1 point. For every blue icon you have with the tiger shark, you get 1 point. And with the sea turtle, you get 1 point, and plus 1 additional point for every other card that is below your Marine Sanctuary. You're going to score a point. So that's how you score points. Simple. Easy. The cards are easy to understand as far as, obviously, how you score points. Now, if you're playing with the expansion, which if you're playing a 3-player game, you would most likely be playing with, you will definitely be playing with the expansion. And so the way these are going to score is actually going to score you points based on what your opponents have. They all score you points based on what your opponents have. And since you're playing a 3-player game, you get to pick between the 2 other players who you're scoring off of. So for instance, with this card, if for every card one of my opponents has above their Marine Sanctuary, I get 1 point. So if player 2 has only 3 cards above their Marine Sanctuary, but player 4 has 5, well, I'm sure we all know what I would choose, the one that gives me the most points. So that's cool, you get to choose. So clearly some players will have certain icons more than others and stuff like that. So once again, I can choose one of my opponents. Whoever has the most blue icons will give me 1 point. If I have the most blue, I don't get to score off of myself with this card. Same thing with all the other fish here. I can only score off of what my opponents have with these cards. But yes, but for every blue icon one of my opponents has, I get 1 point. So if player 2 has 5 blue icons and player 3 has 6, I'm sure we all know who I'm choosing. Obviously, the pairing of green and red, you get 2 points that your opponents have. Obviously, you get to choose one, like I said. Once again, easy. Green, you know, your opponents, which one of them have green the most, you get 1 point for theirs. And, you know, it's, you know, basically the same thing with that one as well. Just different variation of color. And then this one is, you're going to get a point, and then you're going to get 1 point for every card that's below a particular player's, obviously, Marine Sanctuary, okay? But you get to choose which one you want to score off of. And yeah, same thing, all the other cards here. Going to give you points based on the different icons. And that's basically how you score points. That's basically explains all of the cards right then and there. Pretty simple and straightforward. Okay, so this is already a fairly long video. I've explained how you play solo. I've explained how the cards work, how obviously the bot's going to work. We've talked about everything except for how to play a 2-player game and a 3-player game. The 2 and 3-player game is basically the same. You're going to score the same way, but there is a couple other things that are different. Obviously, you don't roll a dice if you're playing with 2 or 3 players, so that's not going to be there. In fact, it doesn't even come with the dice. The game does not come with the dice. So basically, what's going to happen? So let's just say we're playing a 2-player game. I've got the red lionfish. My opponent is the seahorse. Okay. Okay. Now, you're going to obviously shuffle the cards, like always, and you're going to remove 2 cards from the equation in a 3-player game, like always. But obviously we did that already, so we'll just add the other 2 back that I took out earlier. And then you're going to shuffle and deal out 3 cards to each of the 2 players, okay? That's what's going to happen. Then, obviously, when you need to draw more cards, you're only going to draw 2 at a time. Okay, so then what's going to happen is, let's just say it's my turn to go first here. I want to definitely keep this manta ray, so I don't want him to take it, so I'm going to put it face down so he doesn't know that it's a manta ray, and we'll put the orca face up. Player 2 here, the seahorse player, can now decide to do one of 2 things. He can either decide to take the face up card. He knows what it's going to score him, okay? So maybe he knows exactly what's going to score him points or what icons he might need for his strategy. So he might just be tempted to take the face-up one because it could potentially help him. But maybe it won't help him, and so maybe he might take a chance and take the face-down card. Now, he's not allowed to look at the face-down card unless he takes it, obviously. So he doesn't know, the seahorse player does not know if this is going to give him more points or the icons he needs. So it's a gamble for taking the face down one, but, you know, this is the card I definitely want to keep, probably, and so maybe my opponent will be like, should I take the face down one, thinking that my opponent wants to keep it, but maybe his strategy would be better with the orca. I don't know for sure, but that's the gist of that. So I put down the cards, seahorse player is going to pick one to take, and then I get the leftovers, and then I get the equation that I wanted to get, okay? And then I would just play it like I was doing in the solo variant, right? Either below or above my Marine Sanctuary, okay? And my opponent would do the same thing. Then he would do the same thing with his 2 cards here. He'd pick 2, he'd put 1 face down, and he'd put 1 face up, and I would have to pick, obviously, which one I want to add to my sanctuary here. Which one do I want to attract? And, you know, maybe this one, for instance, and then he would take the other one, okay? That's basically how that's going to work until you run out of cards. That's how a 2-player game works. Now, if you're playing a 3-player game, this will take a moment. Let me get all of the cards, because you have to play with more cards than well, normal. So, did I grab one of these by mistake. Hold on. Yes, I did. I grabbed that one by mistake. So, one player, let's say I'm the seahorse player. Let's say player 2 is the dolphin player. Let's say player 3 is the fish player, okay? So, and then we gotta add this card to the equation as well, okay? But you also have to add these extra fish. So if you're playing a 3-player game, you have to play with the expansion fish as well, okay? I obviously already explained the cards themselves. Okay, and then you would shuffle them into here, okay? So, you know, all right? So something like that. You just shuffle them. And then you would remove a total of 4 cards. So if you're playing with the expansion cards, you remove 4 cards from the game because you're playing a 3-player game, right? Oh, and these 2 cards should have already been in the game. But I already removed the 4 cards. So you remove 4 cards if you're playing a 3-player game. You, of course, will obviously shuffle the cards as well, obviously, okay? Now, I'm not really good at shuffling, so that's the gist of what I'm going to do there. Then each player starts with 4 cards, not 2, not 3, 4 cards. You deal out 4 cards to each player, okay? So, and then you'll notice we still have some cards here. Now, this is how it's going to work. This is kind of a simultaneous way, but for the first round, I am looking towards this player here to my left, the dolphin player, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take 2 cards. Okay, I don't really care right now which ones they are. But I'm going to take 2 cards. I'm going to place one face down and one face up. This player here is going to now choose between these 2. The dolphin player is either going to take the face down or the face up. So let's just say the dolphin player takes the face up, but then I am forced to take the face down, for instance. Okay, that's how that's going to work. Then the dolphin player is going to pick 2 cards, one face up, one face down, and then the butterfly fish player is going to take one or the other. So they'll take this one, and then obviously this card the dolphin player gets, right? Now the butterfly fish player, what they're going to do is going to do the same thing. They're going to put one face down and one face up, and then I can choose either or. Ooh, I'll take the face up one, and that means they get the face down. That's how that's going to work. So basically, each round, that's one full round. So each round, each player is going to get 2 cards to add to their Marine Sanctuary. And basically, once you have 7 cards in your Marine Sanctuary, the game is over. Because, you see, you start with, this card here is the first card. You're going to have 2, you're going to have 3, you're going to have 4, 5, potentially 6, and 7. Once you have 7 cards in your Marine Sanctuary, the game is done. Okay? That's how that's going to work. And then, obviously, when you only have 2 cards left in your hand, you will draw 2 more cards for your next hand. So you'll always have 4 cards to choose from when you do this, for sure. But basically, that's how you play. That's how everything's going to work if you're playing a 3-player game. Obviously, you still score the same. Everything else is the same, except obviously the mode of obviously how things are going to work. So I think I explained it pretty good. I think I explained everything you need to know in order to play this game, including obviously how you score points on all these cards. So if you guys liked my how to play video, hopefully this wasn't too long for you, considering this is only like a 10-minute game. I hope this helped you out, and I'll see you guys again next time. Thank you guys for watching.